There's nobody here. I've got it all to myself and it's 10 in the morning. Alright, so I arrived in Salalah a few days ago and I've done 2 different day trips and I'm going to tell you all about them. So these day trips are split into the east coast and the west coast of Salalah and then Salalah itself. So my guide Salim recommended basically to do the city tour, the mosque and the west coast as one day trip and then the east coast and the mountains as another day trip. Alright, so my day trip number 1, we did Salalah as a city and then we went up the west coast through lots of amazing hairpin bends and actually towards the border with Yemen. The 2 things we did in Salalah first were the mosque, which was amazing, a beautiful, clean, incredible looking mosque, and then we went to the souks. Now, I wanted to make sure I got up the coast and went to the outdoors, so we decided to come back and do a couple of things later. So make sure if you're interested, you go to the archaeological site and the frankincense museum, which are right next door to each other, and also go past some fruit farms, which we actually got time to do on the way back. Then we went off up the coast, and the first place we went to is the Eftalquot viewpoint. I'm not pronouncing that right, I don't know, but basically all the way up the coast is these incredible viewpoints and unbelievable, pristine, untouched beaches, and there wasn't anybody there. Like, you could have just had the day to yourself. They were honestly some of the best beaches I think I've ever seen. After the viewpoint we went to the Mughsail Beach, which is also where the blowholes are. Now, I wasn't that impressed with the blowholes. I think they're a little bit touristy and there wasn't loads of blowing. Wasn't loads of blowing that happened while we were there. Well, the blowholes are probably the least interesting thing I've done today. And then after that you drive through these incredible hairpin turn, S-bends, like all the way down, all the way back up. Insane view down into the valley, so that drive alone, if you're like a road trip fan, is worth it. And then one of the best places is the Fazayat Beaches, so you drive all the way down from the top down to the beachfront. This is where you can see a lot of camels. There's a famous picture of the camels in the water, which they weren't in the water when we got there, but there are 3 incredible beaches. You can drive all the way along the coast. That is itself worth it. You can also do that on the way back. So we went past it and we went towards the Yemen border. Now, first thing to be aware of is there is a army checkpoint where you can't take any photos or video at all. They're very strict on that and they may ask for your passport. So personally I didn't need it. We just said that what we were doing and we were just going to a viewpoint. Here right now is Fazayat Beach. Probably 5 different private beaches here. It's unbelievable. And then we headed on down to the next viewpoint and we also stopped for lunch, and you can try camel in this little restaurant which is basically for locals only, and if you want you can try camel. I've never tried it. I did try it, I wanted to try it. Probably won't try it again. It's cooked in many different ways, different varieties. A very traditional restaurant, and this is all camel. My first time trying camel. See how it goes. It's okay. It's tough. It's very tough. So after the camel we went to Shaat Oman, which is a brilliantly named viewpoint, but probably one of the best, if I'm honest. It was one of the best views or viewpoints that we saw in the day. So that is it for day trip number 1. Basically, coast, beaches, viewpoints, unbelievable, brilliant driving. Like, one of the things I was disappointed about that I was not driving, because the roads were amazing. The roads are very safe, they're very easy to navigate, so definitely recommend that. West Coast and Salalah, day trip number 1. So day trip number 2, I actually did that today, and I didn't do a whole day, but to be honest you do need a whole day because you want to take your time. So this one includes 2 towns, Taqah and Mirbat, and it also includes the famous, the unbelievable waterfall Wadi Darbat. I nearly forgot the name. So basically we started at Taqah beach. Now in the morning the dolphins actually come really close to the beach, and we did see some. I didn't get the best shots of it, but we saw dolphins, and then there's an amazing viewpoint over the Taqah beach. So that's your stop number 1. Then we headed up to Wadi Darbat. Now I'm going to mark on, so basically I'm going to write a massive article with Google Maps exactly where each of these places in, and I will link it in the description so you can see the article and basically plan the exact same trip. But the Wadi Darbat is the river, and there's many places that I recommend you stop. The first one was amazing, like, oh my god, it was unbelievable. We got there at 10 o'clock and I was the only person there apart from a German couple that popped by and said hi, and I was the only one there, and I had this waterfall to myself for about an hour, getting all the right photos, the video, everything I needed. It was, honestly, it was stunning. There's nobody here. I've got it all to myself, and it's 10 in the morning. When I say I'm the only one here, it's just me and this goat farmer. And then basically we move up to the next point, and the next point had about 25 people there, and that's the famous one with all the different falls coming down. Incidentally, I'm going to cut to the falls when there's been a typhoon or a cyclone, whichever one it is, and there's been tons of rainfall, because you wouldn't believe it's the same place. How cool is that, right? That was awesome. I can't believe it. I don't know whose video that is, so there's no credit. If I should credit you, please put your name in the comments. After the waterfall, you go further up the river, and we were lucky enough to see the camels in the river, which was awesome. And then on the way to the Samhan viewpoint, which is at the top of the mountain, 2,150 meters, we stopped at the Sink Hole. Now the Sink Hole is 200 meters deep, and there is a small viewpoint, but you can't see anything from the viewpoint. And there is a pathway going down, but you really do need good hiking shoes to do this. In fact, you need hiking shoes for the waterfall as well. So good hiking shoes for day trip number 2 are essential. For the first one, doesn't matter. Day trip number 2, good hiking shoes. And then I walked down for about 10 minutes and I got a better view, but I would have liked to have gone further. But again, this is when, if you have your own car, you have your own schedule, so you can really take your time a little bit more. But it was still interesting, still good. So then we went up from there to the Samhan viewpoint. Wow, I mean, you don't realize just how high these mountains are until you're stood there at the top of them. So that was beautiful as well. It was a little bit hazy, but I got a nice shot just looking over. I mean, you can see for miles, so that viewpoint definitely needs to be on the list. And then from that viewpoint, you take another awesome windy hairpin turns road all the way back down. And then you pass the baobab trees, which are 1,000-year-old trees. It's clearly marked on Google, but again, I'm going to put it in my map, so you don't need that. You can go to my map. You can go to my website and see every one of these points on the map and follow it on the day if you have a local sim, or just put them all as flags in. You can literally plan this road trip. Everything you need is going to be on my website, which is intrepidescape.com, or in the link below. The final place to go is Mirbat. Mirbat, don't miss this town because it's beautiful. In Mirbat you've got the Bin Ali tomb, which is of historical significance. You can go inside and see the tomb, and then you can go to the castle. Take some time at the castle. There's lots of important artifacts and how they cooked and some weapons they used, and the cannons. But then the best bit of Mirbat, in my opinion, is just the views of the ships and the fishing village and the old sort of crumbled houses that have been abandoned and just left to fall down, if you like, and they get hit by these cyclones and then they just start falling down because people have moved to newer homes. But yeah, it's a really pretty town, and I recommend spending a good hour there. Alright, and that's it, and then you come back to your hotel. I'm staying at the Salalah Ratana Resort, which is incredible. I've got a video just based on that, so check that one out. And then for me, I fly back to Muscat tomorrow, but there is a day trip number 3. Day trip number 3 I didn't get to do. I'm going to totally come back and do it, but I wanted to make sure I put this in the video because it's important. There's an empty quarter desert, which is about 2.5–3 hour drive with a couple of stops on the way, which you can go to. You can do a day trip there and come back before sunset, but I highly recommend going around lunchtime and checking out the sunset as well. Or even better, stay overnight. So I've been told that you can stay in the camps, you can wild camp yourself, or you can pay for some of the tents in the sort of glamping style camps, and then you have an amazing view of the stars. I'm gutted I haven't got time to do this, but next time, there's always a next time, and there's a couple of stops, interesting places, frankincense trees, things like that on the way as well. So that sounds like an epic trip. I really recommend that you do that. The other thing to note is that I am doing this at the beginning of December, so this is the cooler months. So there's none of the mist. Salalah is famous for its misty skies. There's none of that here at the moment, but it's also not really hot. It's not rainy. I think this has been a great time to visit. It's not that busy either. It's not that busy. But like I said, I'm off to Muscat tomorrow. So anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, if you're going to go and look at my article, if you're going to go and do these trips, please let me know. Give the video a thumbs up, put something in the comments because I'd love to hear from you, and of course subscribe to my channel. It's the best channel you're going to find. Anyway, thanks for watching, enjoy your time in Salalah, and happy travels.